Number 15. Uzbekistan is a Muslim country, but women don't wear hijabs. They drink beer on the street and wear jeans. Despite being a Muslim country, Uzbekistan is nothing like any Muslim nation you might typically imagine. It has its own unique cultural identity. Uzbek women in Tashkent wear jeans, short skirts, and high heel. It's completely normal. Alcohol and beer are sold publicly. Music and mixed-gender dancing are a staple part of festivals. You will also meet young, vibrant, and friendly Uzbek girls who feel just like Europeans but still carry that Central Asian traditional charm. Uzbek women are not only beautiful and friendly, you'll also see them enjoying coffee, listening to international music, and hitting up lounges and bars in large crowds at night. Drop an 8 in the comments if you're also fascinated by Uzbek women. Number 14. Unique street vendors. Yes, in Uzbekistan, especially in small towns and traditional neighborhoods, you can still run into many forms of street vending. Carts are piled high with all kinds of goods. For instance, seasonal fruits, especially watermelons and cantaloupes. Many vendors sell nuts and dried fruits on the go, carrying large sacks or small carts. Especially during the hot summer months, mobile ice cream vendors often pop up in parks, plazas, and residential areas. Some sell local baked goods, sesame bread, or pastries. Even charcoal is sold on street carts. But the most interesting and familiar sight is probably the mobile scrap collectors who buy scrap metal, old electronics, waste paper, or bottles. These things are still a pretty familiar part of daily life for the people of Uzbekistan. Leave a comment with a picture of a similar sight you've seen in another country. Number 13. A subway system as beautiful as a palace. In Tashkent, riding the subway is an artistic experience. The Tashkent metro system was built with an utopian vision. Every single station is an independent architectural masterpiece. Sparkling crystal chandeliers hang from the ceilings. Polished marble columns reflect the shadows of commuters passing by. The walls are covered in mosaic tiles depicting scenes from Uzbek history and mythology. Some stations look like mosques, while others resemble the reception hall of a czarist palace. Multiple international travel magazines have voted the Tashkent metro as one of the most beautiful subway systems in the world. And here's another crazy thing. A metro ticket in Tashkent is so cheap that you can ride all day for less than $1. The people of Tashkent head to work every morning, looking at those beautiful wall mosaics under the glowing yellow lights, and they just treat it as completely normal. But for a first-timer stepping inside, it is a sweet shock that you will never forget. Number 12. Plov, the national dish that only men are allowed to cook on holidays. Plov is Uzbekistan's national dish, a massive pot of rice cooked with lamb, yellow carrots, lamb fat, and herbs, all prepared in a giant black cast-iron cauldron called a kazan. It might sound ordinary, but here's the cool part. While it's perfectly normal for women to do the everyday cooking, when it comes to weddings, funerals, or any major holiday, the right to cook plov belongs strictly to men. And not just any man, it has to be an oshpaz, a master plov chef highly respected by the community, who guards secret recipes passed down from master to disciple like a classified martial art. An Uzbek wedding feast can serve 300 to 500 guests from a single cauldron. In 2017, 150 Uzbek chefs cooked a 6-ton, about 13,000 pounds, pot of plov to feed 22,000 people, setting a Guinness World Record. UNESCO even recognized plov as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2016. Over 60 different plov recipes exist depending on the region. Samarkand cooks its plov in layers, while Tashkent mixes it all together. Every Uzbek will argue with you that their hometown has the best plov in the world. And they aren't joking. Maybe we should also learn to love a dish so much that we turn it into a national heritage. Number 11. Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva. 3 living museum cities that were once the center of the ancient world. If Tashkent is Uzbekistan's present, then Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva are the country's ancient soul. These three cities aren't just beautiful. They make you feel like you are stepping right into the center of the ancient world. Back when Rome was still building roads, Samarkand was already a megacity on the Silk Road. Samarkand was once the jewel of the Silk Road, where merchants, scholars, poets, artisans, and caravans passed through for centuries. Standing in front of Registan Square, you can't help but be overwhelmed by the blue domes, intricate patterns, and massive structures soaring into the Central Asian sky. Bukhara carries a different kind of beauty. This city features ancient mosques, madrasas, minarets, trading domes, and streets that make you want to just walk as slowly as possible. As for Khiva, it feels like a terracotta-colored dream. The ancient fortress city of Ichinkala, with its city walls, minarets, grand gates, and narrow alleys, gives you the sensation of getting lost in the world of the Arabian Nights. The afternoon sun hits the dirt walls, turning everything into a honey-gold hue. The best part is that locals still live their daily lives in all three of these ancient cities. They still sell goods, still drink tea, and still pray. Number 10. The most unique country in the world. Uzbekistan is a special country because it is truly unlike anywhere else. It's a nation where 90% of the population practices Islam, and you can truly feel that when you set foot here. When summer arrives in Uzbekistan, it gets even hotter than the Sahara Desert. But the strange thing is, the people here have learned to live with that climate for hundreds of years. They drink hot tea even when the weather is scorching. And then we have to talk about the bread. In Uzbekistan, bread is culture. The naan bread is round, thick, and golden brown, usually baked in a clay oven called a tandir. Just breaking off a small piece is enough to make you remember it forever. They respect bread just as they respect their guests. Bread is the ultimate symbol of life and of the Uzbek family. What makes Uzbekistan even more captivating is the feeling that this country is still actively living on the ancient Silk Road. Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva were once the ultimate stopovers for merchants, scholars, artisans, and pilgrims. And today, as you walk under those blue domes, through the spice markets, and down the ancient cobblestone streets, you get the distinct feeling that history never actually vanished. It just changed its clothes and kept on living in everyday life. Number 9. Traditional markets are still the center of life. If you want to understand Uzbekistan, don't start at the palaces. Start at the markets. That's where life is more real than any advertisement. The Chorsu Bazaar in Tashkent, with its signature giant blue dome, doesn't just sell raisins, spices, meat, bread, fabrics, or souvenirs. Where vendors are always enthusiastically inviting you to sample free food. It sells the very heartbeat of the city. You will see traditional markets everywhere instead of the massive supermarkets you find in Europe or the US. Perhaps this is also why the cost of living in Uzbekistan is considered among the cheapest in the world, while the quality of life remains high. For older folks, this atmosphere feels very close to home. They can spend hours at the market without it being just about buying groceries. In Uzbekistan, the market isn't just a place to spend money. It's a place where people meet acquaintances, check in on one another, drink tea, and chat. Number 8. Daily life and nightlife in Tashkent. In Tashkent, mornings start very gently. The sound of the metro gliding past, elders sitting and sipping green tea, mothers and grandmothers carrying bags to the market, while young people rush to the office in a city that is simultaneously modern and carrying shades of the old Soviet era. It feels like an elegant middle-aged gentleman wearing a modern suit, but still keeping his grandfather's handkerchief in his pocket. When night falls, the city of Tashkent switches its rhythm. Cafes, restaurants, pedestrian streets, and entertainment districts light up. The famous Broadway pedestrian street comes alive with street artists and musicians performing. The area around Amir Timur Square is beautifully illuminated. But Magic City is the entertainment complex that is incredibly popular right now. Clubs and bars become packed with young locals and tourists. It's a capital city that always leaves you with a feeling of safety, cleanliness, and endless excitement. Number 7. Mahalla, the self-governing neighborhood system that has existed for thousands of years. In the West, a neighbor is sometimes just someone you give a quick nod to as you walk past the mailbox. But in Uzbekistan, your neighbors are your second family. A mahalla is a traditional neighborhood community, an incredibly tight-knit and efficient self-governing unit. Neighbors don't just know each other's names, they know each other's income, which family is going through a rough patch, who is about to get married, and who just got a divorce. When a family in the mahalla hosts a wedding, the whole neighborhood pitches in to help cook, set up tents, and serve guests. When there's a funeral, the entire mahalla mourns and handles all the arrangements. There is also a special custom called kashar, where the whole mahalla comes together to dig ditches, build houses, or repair roads without receiving a single dime in return. People don't do it for money, they do it knowing that if they help you today, you'll have their back tomorrow. In 2003, the Uzbek government officially formalized the mahalla into a foundational administrative unit, meaning your neighbors are basically a branch of the local government. Number 6. Massive Uzbek weddings. When Uzbeks throw a wedding, it's a community event that can have up to 500 or even 1,000 guests, lasting for 2 days with music blasting from miles away. From the crack of dawn on the wedding day, giant kazan cauldrons are placed on the stoves to cook wedding plov, with enough food to feed hundreds of people until they're completely full. Interestingly, this plov is cooked at the groom's house, and then the bride's portion is brought over to her house. Both families partying with food from the same cauldron, the same meal, the same bond. The most important part of the wedding is the bridal procession. Traditionally, the bride wears a vibrant red outfit, and her face is covered by an embroidered veil. In fact, during tough economic times, the Uzbek government actually had to step in and pass regulations to limit the number of guests and dishes at weddings, because many families were taking out loans that took a decade to pay off just for their children's wedding parties. But because of that exact reason, you come to understand one thing. Number 5. The habit of eating rice with your hands. For many foreigners, seeing Uzbeks eat plov with their hands for the first time might be a bit surprising, but it is a very intimate, deeply traditional way of eating for the people of Uzbekistan. Plov, Uzbekistan's most famous dish, is a meal of togetherness, typically served at family gatherings, festivals, or large social events. A platter of plov is usually placed right in the center. The rice is golden, the meat is tender, the carrots are sweet, the oil is fragrant, and the spices are deeply infused. Everyone sits around it, creating a warm and cozy atmosphere. This might remind us of many other cultures around the world, where eating with your hands is totally normal. In India, the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia. When your hands touch the food, you truly connect with its temperature, texture, aroma, and harmony. Uzbeks believe that the best meal is one shared with family, friends, and honored guests. Today, in cities like Tashkent, the youth and urban residents often use spoons and forks just like in Europe. However, this cultural trait is still preserved in daily life as a beautiful piece of their heritage. Number 4. A unique cuisine infused with its own distinct culture. The most famous dish is definitely plov, the national pride. A good pot of plov requires rice, meat, carrots, onions, oil, spices, and most importantly, experience. It makes an appearance at weddings, festivals, family gatherings, and celebrations. But Uzbek cuisine is so much more than just plov. There is samsa, a baked pastry filled with meat, onions, pumpkin, or potatoes. It has a crispy crust, and one bite is all it takes to understand why people are willing to stand in line for it. There is shashlik skewered meat grilled over charcoal, so incredibly fragrant that even if you just ate a full meal, you can't help but turn your head. There is lagman hand-pulled noodles served with a rich meat and vegetable sauce, and there is naan bread, the round, golden loaf that appears at almost every single meal. And of course, tea is an absolute must. An Uzbek meal almost always starts with tea. The tea is poured slowly, sipped slowly, and the conversation flows just as slowly. People place bread on the table, add dried fruits, nuts, and jams, and then the main dishes gradually make their entrance. Uzbek cuisine is outstanding, not just because of its delicious dishes, but because it is uniquely shaped by its culture. Number 3. The land of traditional festivals. Navruz is the new year of the Turkic-Persian world, and Uzbekistan celebrates it like a mega festival. Every year on March 21st, the entire country of Uzbekistan welcomes Navruz. This is a 3,000-year-old festival, older than Islam itself. Everyone takes to the streets to cook sumalak. Traditional games take place: kurash wrestling, darboz tightrope walking, and nationwide dancing. Navruz is recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage shared by 12 countries. It is the festival with the largest number of simultaneous participants on Earth. The Silk and Spices Festival takes place in Bukhara. You will see parades in ancient costumes, traditional silk weavers, and colorful spice markets, alongside folk music performances. The atmosphere feels just like stepping back into the Silk Road era hundreds of years ago. Shark Taronalari is the international music festival in Samarkand. What makes this festival famous is that artists from dozens of countries participate, performing both traditional and modern music right in Registan Square. In the mountainous regions, folk festivals bring out traditional costumes, ancient songs, dances, and customs that the locals still proudly preserve. Number 2. How Uzbeks pour tea. The less tea you get, the more they respect you. In the US, when a guest comes over, filling their glass to the brim is common courtesy. In Uzbekistan, it's the exact opposite. The host pours very little tea into a small bowl called a piyala, and the most honored guest will actually receive the smallest amount of tea. Why? Because it forces the guest to constantly ask for more, creating a non-stop loop of communication between host and guest, the ultimate sign of true hospitality. The host never leaves a piyala empty. They discard the old tea and constantly pour it fresh. The teacup is always passed with the right hand, while the left hand is placed gently over the left chest, a gesture of humility and sincerity. In Uzbekistan, tea isn't just a drink, it's a social language. You don't go to someone's house just to drink tea, you go to engage in a ritual of connection. Refusing tea is a silent insult, and if you are an American visiting an Uzbek family and they bring you a bowl filled to the brim, that's not respect. It's a sign that you haven't truly been considered an honored guest yet. Number 1. The cost of living in Uzbekistan is among the cheapest in the world, yet the quality of life is very high. When talking about the cost of living in Uzbekistan, what surprises many people isn't just that it's cheap, but that it's cheap in a very down-to-earth, livable way. An average person living in Uzbekistan might need about $400 a month, excluding rent. For many living in Uzbekistan, life doesn't revolve around luxury apartments or expensive restaurants. It revolves around the traditional market. People buy fresh vegetables at the market, bring them home to cook plov, brew tea, break bread with their hands, and the whole family sits around the dinner table. A casual meal at a local eatery costs only about $2 to $3. A single-fare public transit ticket is only around 17 cents, while a monthly pass is about $10, so cheap that if you are used to taxi, metro, or bus prices in the US, you will have to double-check to see if you misread a zero. Interestingly, rent here is still a lot more breathable compared to many developed nations. A one-bedroom apartment in the city center averages about $400 a month. But the best part about Uzbekistan isn't about how cheap everything is. The best part is that with a very modest amount of money, the people still maintain a life full of flavor. Hot bread in the morning, plov for lunch, green tea in the afternoon, and parks, night markets, and unforgettable vibes in the evening. With this kind of cost, would you want to live and travel in Uzbekistan? Drop a 1 in the comments if yes, or a 0 if no. For Uzbeks, the moment of sharing joy with their community is more important than money itself. We have just explored 15 authentic facts about Uzbekistan, life in Uzbekistan, and some fascinatingly strange things. Don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel. Doing this means you are giving us a lot of money. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.